Right, morning everyone. Something a bit different from me. I'm going to do a quick video of what I'm doing today and show you what's what. So the customers had this nice patio area done and had some 6-inch posts put in, and today I'm going to be building a roof with sloping down towards this fence area, and we'll see how we get on. Got some big 6x2 timbers to go up. So we'll start putting the framework up. Right, so I've marked 7.5 foot up, as that's the rough height where the customer wants it to be. Made a line, put my clamp up, trusty old G clamps. Same at the other side. I'm going to rest my timber up there, see how we are. So we're level there. This is a 4.6 metre span. It's pretty wide. So level with the fall, going for a 2-inch fall. I've marked a line underneath, so I'm going to drop it down to that, and that'll give us the fall we need. And I'm going to bolt them in with M12 coach bolts. Should hold it nice. So we're out of level now, I've dropped it down. It's a very gradual slope. There's going to be tin on the roof when it's done, so don't need much of a fall. Just get the water off. Like I say, it's dropping down to this line here, and we're going to run a gutter down. Just long enough. There's the coach bolts, washers and nylocks. Level's gone. Plenty sticking through, but we'll chop that off with angle grinder later. Get them nipped up. So these posts were already set in, and they're a little bit off level, but big posts like that, don't suppose you'll get them perfect. This one's the same as well, not as bad, but neither of them are bad. I'm going to try and pull them in, you know, together to try and level them up a bit. Right, pull them in like that as I bolt this one up. So we're about 1 inch out of level overall, so I've just clamped the G-clamp to the timber, and I'm going to quick grip it across 1 inch or so, and I'll check where we're at there, see if it's made a difference. So this was about 1/2 inch out plumb overall, so I've managed to pull this one in, clamping it up. But the other side's not moved 1 inch, so you win some, you lose some. Man can't really have enough clamps. We've got the bottom G clamp, what was temporarily supporting the timber while I had it in place. These 2 clamps here, this one and this one, they're holding the timber to the post. It was twisted, so I've had to really clamp it down. And then these 2 here, they were the ones trying to bring the post in a little bit back into level. It would be nice to get my driver on here with a socket, but my socket setting quite deep enough for these bolts. They are a bit long, like I said. But, if I was to buy a pack of the right length from Screwfix, it would cost me a lot more, and I want to use them all, so I went to the local merchants, if you like, and just picked up what I needed, and these were the only lengths we had suitable. But once I've wound them in and I'm happy, I can chop them off with the angle grinder. Right, they're bolted up now. Clamps are off, so I'm going to level across from this front post to the back post, and the same on this side, front to back, and that should give me the same slope. I could measure 7.5 foot up like I did there to there, but we don't know how level the paving is, so I'll level across to each corner, front to back, and then across the back, and it should be somewhere there. So there's a couple of ways you could do with this I suppose. Half strung a line post to post, nice and tight. Then we're going to use one of these line levels, clip it on, see roughly where we are, and then you can just adjust this one down or up to suit. Worth mentioning, I've gone above the cross member, as different thicknesses of timbers do occur, so you want the tops to be the same. So if the next bit of timber across the back is a bit thicker or a bit thinner, you know, you want both the tops to be level, because that's where your tin's going on. So about as level as you'd like, somewhere there. Once it's stopped moving, you can get a decent picture of level. That's pretty good to me. So what I'll do now is, where it touches the post there, I'll square across with my square, put a pencil mark, and then I'll do the same at that side, across from there to there, and then I can fit the other timbers. Right, I've levelled across with a string line on this side and that side, so I'm going to put these side pieces in now. So I've measured down at the bottom of the timbers, where you know that distance is never going to change. So we're currently at 379, and then when you measure up top, they splay out again. They're not quite level, so I'm going to cut it at 379, the timber, and fix it on hard up against that up at the top there, just tucked in underneath there, and then when I level it across, I'll pull that post in or push it out, whichever way it wants to go, so that timber's flush on the back side of there, and then I know there's something like parallel then. So cut it there. Right, so here I've just pilot drilled and countersunk some holes to screw into the end of it, through the end of here into there. I'll be using 12 gauge screws as we're into end of grain, so I'll just put them in, not over tight, just to close that gap up a little bit before I put the coach bolt through there. I'm going to drill the coach bolt through like I have on the others, through the middle to avoid them two hopefully. Like I said, they're 12 gauge, so they've got a coarser thread on them, thicker thread. It's just pulled that in nicely. Tops are pretty flush. Like I was saying, you want the tops to flush as the tins or roof, whatever does finally choose the customer. You want it to sit nice and level all the way down the top. So it's not really easy to see, but there is a slight step in there, and that's what you're trying to avoid. Right, so I mentioned it before, this timber here was measured and cut from bottom dimensions, bottom to bottom, and this is the difference. It's a little bit more actually because I've started clamping it, but this is the difference of the overhang between the tops and the bottoms, as the posts are completely level, which isn't unusual, and it's easily done. So big posts, you know, I think they were 10 foots, 6x6s, so they're a big post to handle. So I'm just going to start winding this clamping bit by bit, see if I can close that up, which we are doing. Then before I commit and drill and screw and bolt, I'll check the post for level, make sure one ain't gone more than the other, or what have you. Right, so even though I levelled it with a string line, I always check with the spirit, obviously. Definitely. And it was a slightly out, but I think as I've pulled them posts in together, it's knocked my line off slightly, so I did have to push that end up a little bit to get it level. So now I'm happy with the spirit level. I can, it's clamped in place and I can bolt it up. So we're at 3785 this side, so 5mm difference. It's nothing really in the grand scheme of things, but I'll do the same, cut a timber to that length, and then I can put it up there. And again, if these are splayed in or out, hopefully try and correct that a little bit. Funnily enough, that one's pretty bang on. Couldn't get any better really. With a bit of luck, there shouldn't be much pulling and pushing to get these the same dimension at the top. Right, we're an old pencil mark there. Just see it, just about see it. Yeah. A bit out of that, it's a bit high at that end, so I'm going to have to drop it down a bit. So get it somewhere like. So this end's going to go down. Try 10mm, see how that looks. Measure it again. And then we'll finalise it on the bubble. These posts did need to be pulled in about 15mm at this one end, so I fixed that end first, and then as you can see there, that bit of wood there clamped on. That was to push that timber across, push that way, or 15mm starts now really. So 3 hours in, this is where I'm up to. Got all the timbers around the top now, all secured with the bolts to be trimmed off later. Tops of the posts, they're going to be cut down later on. Going to be flush with the tops. So now start hanging the roof joists, rafters, whatever you want to call them. You screw them in at the ends, and then we've got joist hangers, little joist hangers down there, wrap-around type. Customers thinking of cladding the underside, so it won't be really visible with the joist hangers. Yeah, happy with how it's gone so far on my own. Yeah. Right, so once my roof timbers, so I've just supported that with some offcuts and some clamps, just so it holds up. While I'm on my own, it's a lot easier to have it self-supported. So I'm going to screw in from each end. Again, 12 gauge screws. Same at that end. And then I'm going to wrap joist hangers around, so it won't be going anywhere, but the screws are more of a temporary measure to hold it in place, while the joist hangers are fitted later. Right, so I'm at the other end now, and this timber here's got quite a twist in it, so I've clamped this on, and I'm going to twist it round with a clamp, like that. See how it springs back? Then I'm going to screw it in like that. Right, so I've got half the roof timbers in, the joists. They're just held in at the moment with screws through the ends. Not got the joist hangers on yet. And I thought I'd best put a brace in before the weight gets too much. There doesn't seem to be much movement, but we're going to have these braces on each corner, both ways. So this way, like you can see, and then they're going to run that way as well, on both posts. So yeah, stuff like this. Can't really plan it too much, so just put a 45° on a bit of timber and then just offered it up somewhere where it looked right. So I tried it up to that joist there, tried it in the middle, and I've just took it up against that one because you'd have to be pretty close to hit your head, but yeah, just took it up a bit more out of the way. Right, so it's 3 o'clock, I'm about finished now. A bit short on timber, but that's coming sometime this week. So I've got just over half the roof timbers on, short of 2. Then there's some noggins to go in. Corner braces are all in now. Like I say, get some noggins in that, stiffen that up a bit, but it's a pretty strong structure. It won't be going anywhere.